Welcome back. In today's video I will bring you the main basic points you need to know to start with HTML. Without further ado, I am NeoDev. Let's learn HTML in minutes. HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language, and it was created by Sir Tim Berners-Lee and officially released in 1995. HTML is a document or file that any browser can read and display. Not only the structure of the website, but CSS styles, images, JavaScript, functionality, and more. In order to create an HTML file, you can go to any text editor and they already come with some shortcuts for us to use. Like with VS Code, we can create a boilerplate or HTML basic skeleton for our web page by just typing the exclamation mark and then hit enter. You will see a head tag, this one right here. This element contains meta information about the HTML page. Here you will have the meta tags and you can use some CDN, scripts, links, styles, and more. Now, the body tag, this element is a container for all the visible contents. And often you will see and use a script tag to link your JavaScript file for our page or for your page. In order to understand once for all HTML and use it, you need to know the main concept of HTML element. An HTML element is composed by the element name, the opening tag, and the closing tag, and the content itself, of course. In order to create an opening tag, you just need to use the symbol of less than, then the element name, and close it by the greater than symbol. Now for the closing tag is a little bit different. As you can see, we have the less than symbol, the forward slash, and finally the greater than symbol. This is the way that most HTML elements can be created. Let's talk about the most common HTML elements. Heading tags. We have from H1, which is heading 1, until H6. This heading tags give search engines valuable information. Then we have a paragraph tag. A paragraph tag, we can type some random text, like so. Now for the next element we will see a concept which is attributes. An HTML can contain attributes, but have in mind that for some elements are mandatory to have them in order for them to work, of course, and for others they are optional. For instance, we have the anchor tag. The anchor tags are just links, crucial for navigation. Mandatory attribute is href, we can lead you to another page. For instance, google.com. Now we have the image tag. It's mandatory to have the source attribute. Here we will need to set the path of the image itself in order to be displayed. Next we have some buttons. They are just clickable buttons in order to start an interaction for the user. Great. Now with the HTML we can create an order list. We can have some tables. Even we can inject audio. And video content.
To get riggedy wrecked, son!
Or inject from another page some other content. Alright, so far so good. Now you will see that some elements are next to each other and other that breaks into a new line. But why? Because we can have block and or inline elements. Pretty straightforward the concepts are. Block takes the whole width of the page, for instance, paragraph tag and the div. Now, inline elements will take only the space of the content itself, for instance, an anchor tag and a span. By the way, I know that thanks to CSS we can make some elements to be inline block elements, to have the best of both worlds. However, don't get cocky, that's a topic for another video. Now let's talk about container elements. They are just elements that contain other elements, duh, but let's talk about a topic that you may often encounter, the Div-mania. Yes, you can create many container elements by using just the div element. But how can we notice the difference between them? Well, with the class and ID attributes. And you can name them as you please, don't worry about that. But have in mind that you can have many class names for the same element, even repeat the same class name for another elements. This is very handy when we deal with styling your page, like so. On the other hand, the ID attribute must be unique, and this can be again handy when we deal with some DOM manipulation with JavaScript. However, the Div-mania can be really annoying. A quick note, the Div-mania still exists. And with the aim of getting rid of the Div-mania, HTML5 semantic elements were created. Ta-da! Therefore, for instance, if we have this, we could change it now for this. By the way, so far you have seen an implicit concept, which is nesting. You can type an HTML tag inside another one, and so on and so on. Now imagine an HTML element like a box or a doll that you could put another doll inside of it, and so on and so on and so on and so on, with different properties each one. Lastly, we have forms. You as a developer will definitely deal with data, basic group operations. Therefore, forms will be your daily basis, like login, sign up, and or payment actions and more. So the basic form elements are the label and the input. As you can see, the label comes with the for attribute and the input with the ID attribute. They both need to be the same string value, like this, name, email, and finally password, in order for us to interact by clicking just the label. And as you can see, it automatically focuses the input that is linked to it. We have the name, we have the email, and finally we have the password. The other important attribute is the type attribute for the input. This defines the type of input that it is. For instance, as you've seen already, we have some text, email type, and finally the password. Now we can have another input types, like input radius. As you can see, this is very important. The name attribute, they must be the same value, because here in this group we can only pick one. It only allows to choose one of them. And another input type that we have is checkboxes. Here for the name attribute, they don't need to be the same, because checkboxes allow us to pick more than one. You see, even if I click the label tag, because it's linked to thanks to the ID attribute and as well the for attribute. Now the other type that we have is the select element. It allows us, of course, to select one of the options that the developer provides to us. And also, I know that naturally when we want to do something with that data, like send them to another page. So in this case, first of all, we're going to need inside of the form element a new attribute that is action. Inside of this, we will need to have a URL, which is the information meant to be sent. So in order for us to do that, we just need an input type of submit. First of all, you can see a type of submit, or you can have just the button of type of submit with the text of submit. It will do the same thing. I know that you want to know more about forms and start practice with that, and I will do a couple of videos regarding forms, CSS, and some basic JavaScript.
Oh, hello, and do me a favor, if you like and worry, subscribe yet. See you next week, everybody.